Hello and welcome back to the channel, guys. Josh here. Today I wanted to bring you guys through like a really busy day in the life of a financial advisor, because I've done one of these videos before and it was a pretty relaxing day. I got to golf in the evening, weren't that many meetings, but right now it's annual review season in our business. And so what that means is the investment returns for this past year are out. We've got together a little deck on what happened throughout the year and maybe our strategy for next year. Our clients have to think about topping up their registered account tax strategy, and we have tax season coming up in terms of filing returns. There's a lot to do with every client. We're gonna be doing like 200 meetings over the next 2 months. And today is one of the days where things are just jammed. I probably have 6 meetings. They're mostly back to back. All the typical work I have to do as an advisor is also coupled in there, plus all the to-dos from all the other meetings we've had. So for compliance reasons, I can't kind of film meetings, but I'll kind of walk you through what's going on through the day and talk through each client scenario, anonymously, of course. But hopefully it'll give you guys a better look at what it looks like to have a really busy day. So buckle up, this is for sure going to be a full 12 to 14 hour day. Client number 1 has entered the waiting room. So here we are, Zoom call number 1 for the first one of the day. I've changed out to make myself look a little more professional, LOL. Now this is my setup. I got my YouTube light on me, got my coffee ready to go, and all the stuff I need behind while I got the Zoom in front. So let's get to it. Awesome. Okay, have a good one. Just finished up meeting number 1. It was fantastic. Man, one thing you're gonna learn as an advisor is that you kind of feel apprehensive about talking to your clients because you're not really sure if they're happy with you or they're unhappy with you, and you help them out, you provide value and they're paying you. But at the end of the year, push comes to shove and you kind of have to show them, hey, here's what we did, here's the value we provided, here's what we're charging, all these sorts of things. And every single year, the clients are like happy and they like you and they're working with you for a reason. So I find this time of year really meaningful. Just had a great meeting with this client he's involved in so many different things, but first and foremost, it's a farming client with a bunch of land and a bunch of different investment assets. And it was a pretty standard meeting, went over investment performance. It was a really good year with the investment manager we're using for this client. Talked mostly about tax strategy. When it comes down to wealthy clients, a lot of the big conversation is about how to minimize taxes. And lastly, we just kind of reviewed what's our action plan for this next year. And because he's a farming client, it's interesting because the way farming works is you can defer a lot of income into future years. You can play around a lot with your income and what years you claim it in. So a lot of the time there is complex tax strategy you have to do with using RSPs to offset income or trying to find ways to minimize the tax burden and claim expenses in this year versus next year and all that sort of thing. First meeting of the day is complete and it is now 10 a.m., which means I have an hour between now and my next meeting, which is fantastic because all of these annual reviews will each come with a certain set of to-dos, right? So if there's 200 annual meetings, 150 of them have actual to-do items we need to take care of. That means there's 2, let's say, to-do items per person. That's 300 little independent things I'm gonna have to do across all these clients. So I'm gonna go over the last 2 days of review meetings, get all those to-dos done, take a look at my texts, my emails, my DMs, and my comments and make sure all those are answered. And then ultimately just kind of like do the things I would normally do in a regular day as an advisor. And odds are I am not going to be able to get all of that done. So I'm gonna do as much of it as I can before the next. Oh, look at this. These guys are changing the billboards. How cool is that? Whoa. That looks risky. Freezing, it's probably minus 30. And these guys are on top of a billboard, changing the advertisement. Snow on the roofs. What a sight. You know what? Love my job. I just wanted to give you guys a quick look at these to-do items. I said there might be like 300 of them, maybe more. I want to give you an idea of what those actually look like. Like, what do they actually mean? We have a client, business owner, switch their banking. So we just need to get like an updated void check, and then they want to do a $10,000 deposit to max out their tax savings account. Same kind of idea, right? A lot of tax stuff. We're gonna run an RSP analysis for this client. Business owner, they earn dividends, they earn salary, they earn all sorts of different types of income. So we need to take those all into account and see if it makes sense for them to make a tax deductible contribution instead of just like a tax-free savings account kind of idea. They've also realized that they were going to be buying a house or investing in property. They realized that's not going to be happening anymore. They were in maybe like a 70-30 kind of portfolio, 70% stocks, 30% bonds, and their time horizon is like 30-40 years. they're high risk, high reward kind of investors. So we're gonna be changing their portfolio to 100% equity. And you might be thinking, at the top of a bull market, like at this time you're changing to 100% equity? That sounds crazy. Well, the reality is if your time horizon is 40 years, you would rather just get into 100% stocks and ride out the volatility if that's something you're open to, as opposed to like trying to time the next crash. If you try to time the crashes, what's gonna happen is you're gonna end up like a lot of the prospects I've heard about. 2008 happened, the markets crashed, they got super scared, they moved all this cash to the sidelines, and now ever since they've been waiting for another crash, and they've seen the market go up like 300, 400%, and they never actually got back in because they're so nervous waiting for another crash. That is the detriment of trying to time the market. So our idea is, hey, if our goal is 40 years out and we're okay with the volatility, let's get into 100% stocks now. We might see a 30, 40% correction over the next decade, but hey, that's fine because we're in this for 40 years. We have a client who wants to top up their TFSA, same kind of deal, move assets out of a taxable environment into non-taxable environment, and they're looking to buy a house this year. So we're kind of helping them model out, how much money should we put down? Should we put down 5% or 20% on this house? What are our payments gonna be? Do we wanna rent out half of it? How does that all look? So we're gonna model out those different scenarios for them to help them get a better idea of what it is that they should be thinking about when buying that house. Something interesting for them is that their employer is doing a 7% matching plan at work, which means there's no way we can beat that here. They're getting a free 100% return on 7% of their annual salary. That's massive. So we're gonna switch all the contributions they're making at our firm over to their employer plan, and whatever's left over we'll put in that non-registered. But the reality is we're trying to shift assets from money that they're saving with us to their employer because they're gonna be getting a larger return there. That's something that might bother some new advisors because it's like, oh no, these assets are going somewhere else. I'm no longer earning the fee on them. But the reality is that's what's best for the client. Over time, you're gonna realize doing what's in the best interest of the client is going to actually make you wealthier over the long haul. In your early years as an advisor, it's kind of scary because you're letting those assets leave and you really need that income. And so you might be biased to try to tell that, client, don't do that. But the reality is it is bar none the best decision for them to make. So there is no arguing that. And luckily I'm in a position in my business where I don't even feel the temptation to recommend otherwise. I mean, clearly that would be something terrible and this is a conflict of interest. But the reality is this happens, guys. Like advisors do make recommendations that benefit themselves over the client. And the quicker you can get yourself into a position where you're self-sufficient and financially stable, the quicker you can become objective about helping clients. So my progress on getting into last week's to-dos is not going great because I've got a bunch of emails and texts on the normal operations of the day-to-day business I have to deal with, so today's gonna be an even longer day. What I tend to do is answer my texts and my emails and my DMs and my comments on the YouTube channel, all kind of in one spurt. But I may as well give you guys some shout outs. Let's do it. The Black Dr. Phil says, great video, Josh, very informative. Thanks, Black Dr. Phil, you're the man. Javier, wake up, babe, new Josh Olfert video. Oh, love to hear it. Donald Duck, amazing how people that advertise themselves as knowledgeable are anything but. You know nothing about financing luxury items. Amazing. That's a good one. I love that. Good stuff. Super great video. Have a private wealth management second round interview coming up and anticipating a question like this arises and how I could communicate it effectively. Oh, that's exactly what I love to hear. Amazing. So by the way, this is kind of like the ratio. It's like 3 nice comments for every just dagger. It's great because a lot of people think, I don't want to get into creating content. I don't want to do this. It's embarrassing. It's cringy. People are going to hate on me. Well, the reality is only like a quarter of people hate on you and the others are very positive. You're helping them with job interviews. You're inspiring them. It's amazing. So thanks guys for the comment. You guys are awesome. The snow has begun. I do have one meeting out of the office today and that is going to not be fun to drive around and it's going to be freezing. But that, guys, is the completion of my free hour and a half. Now it is time for meeting number 2 and I'll see you guys after. One thing I'm referencing over and over and over in this video is the idea of topping up clients' registered accounts. Now, what does that mean? Well, if we invest over the long term, it's going to generate a lot of wealth for us. And the government says, hey, you're generating wealth. I want to tax that. So what we're trying to do is find ways to optimize the investments clients have into the right tax advantage accounts. In the States, these are called things like your Roth, your IRA, your 401k, your Roth IRA, all these different things. In Canada, we have like TFSA and RRSP. Those are the main 2. So if you put money, for instance, into an RRSP, it is a tax deduction. So what that means is it reduces your taxable income and it gives you a big return at the end of the year, depending on your situation. But let me show you kind of how this works and how we strategize. So here we have the tax brackets for the state or province that I live in. And let's say you make $110,000. That means every additional dollar you make is being taxed at 43.40%. This is a very simple example. We could put $10,000 into your RRSP, and that way you will get this back on that amount. You'll get $4,340 back, and that means that you are no longer earning inefficient income in this bracket because we're moving you down into this bracket by making that deduction. This is how tax deductions work if you're not exactly sure. What we're trying to do is get you out of these inefficient tax brackets down here and bump you down into lower tax brackets. As you can see, as your income goes down or as we claim more deductions, we can find ourselves in a lower bracket. So that in large part is what I'm doing when I'm talking about strategizing for client top-ups and thinking about their tax strategy. How can we bump them into a lower bracket and give them a big boost on their tax return that they can invest down the road, maybe in April or May. Now, the downside to doing this is that if you make a tax-deductible investment contribution to an account like an RSP, you're gonna have to pay tax when you take the money out. What we're trying to decide is, are we willing to lock up money right now until retirement that we can only access under taxable conditions in return for the benefit of getting a bigger return? And so these are the calculations of helping clients make. If it turns out that no, it's not worth it, I don't wanna lock up money, first of all, and second of all, I'm gonna be in some higher tax bracket when I take the money out, that's completely inefficient. We don't wanna do that. So then we would use an account like a TFSA. We're trying to find out what's the optimal mix between the different taxable accounts for each client dependent on their situation and what their year looks like. This is what annual review season looks like, guys. This will have to wait for later. Now it's time for what I believe is going to be the trickiest meeting of the day. I have to tell this lovely elderly man that I work with, he is the best. He's such a great salt of the earth guy. I'm gonna have to tell him that he can't be spending this much or else the retirement projections are gonna get thrown off. I'm looking forward to meeting with this guy, he's amazing, but I am not looking forward to the part where I have to talk candidly about spending less money. This is probably one of the trickier parts of the job, being a dream crusher and telling people, hey, we worked our whole life and we prepared for retirement to do all this, and now I'm gonna have to show him with models and software and the potential future returns for investments that that's not gonna be good for him. So wish me luck. So how did that meeting go? Picture two grown-ass men crying together in a diner. And now that's a lot to unpack. I don't have time because my next meeting's in 5 minutes, but we'll get you up to speed later. Now, as I'm doing this, something comes to mind which I'd love to talk about, which is as advisors, we often feel like we get a client with the upfront amount they want to invest, and maybe they're gonna contribute every month and we think, okay, that's it. But when I meet with clients on an annual basis, they always kind of feel apologetic or sorry, like, oh, I wish I could have contributed more this year. I wish I could give you a bigger lump sum right now. And you start to realize, wow, when we review with clients, it's an incredible business opportunity. And I don't expect this. I don't expect to get on these calls and these clients have extra money to invest. But look at this. This shows you out of 16 reviews we've done so far, here is the amount that clients have been contributing. So in total, we have $218,500 of new deposits being made over 16 reviews. That means on average, it's $15,000 per client coming in just because we're reviewing with them on an annual basis. So it's this wonderful little thing where if you provide value, continue to help those clients, continue to plan with them, and continue to monitor their investments and build that relationship, they kind of feel as if they want to be contributing more and more. And of course, that helps you because it's a business opportunity. It also helps the client. So you build this great incentive structure where you continue to do the things that are valuable for them, and they continue to feel as if they want to contribute to this. So that's something I didn't really expect, but it's lovely. Just threw my kid clothes back on because I am done for meetings with older people today, and so that means I can kind of chill, but I still have a bunch of meetings, and next I'm gonna take you guys on a personal errand I have to run. I'll see you in a second. Welcome, my friends, to winter in Canada. I'm not sure if you can see the snow. It's not great. Currently 4:29, and I've got an appointment for something very special at 4:30. I'm gonna take you guys along with me for something that a lot of you have been asking in the comments. Guys, you're always asking in the comments, how does my hair look so good? Everyone's like, how does this guy's hair look so good all the time?
That's so funny.
This guy right here. This guy, he can do the best fade in the entire province. And that's what we're here for. Oh yeah. Look at that fade right there. This guy right here. Someone got high. I've got one more meeting today at 6. It is currently 5:45, but boy, guys, I gotta talk about my barber. This guy doubles as my therapist. He's actually freaking amazing. We just had like a great chat about being a business owner and pricing your services. Most people don't find it comfortable to tell someone else they're charging them for something. And he said to me, ideally one day what he would like to have is 30 clients who are on a fixed schedule, who pay a ton of money, and so he can do less work for more cash. And I think that's what we're all ultimately after. Can we get more output for less input? So we had this big, great chat about having a business where you make way more money for way less work dealing with people that you love dealing with. I think that's like ultimately the panacea of every advisor or business owner. That's kind of the goal. So we had a fantastic chat about the challenges in doing that, about raising prices, about finding the niche that allows you to do that. But ultimately, just a great conversation for people who are interested in being an advisor. I think that's kind of a spot we're all trying to get to. But that takes decades, and so we're gonna keep at it. Look who else is home. How's it going?
Hi.
Hi.
So good.
I just came back from the barber.
I know I checked the location.
Her nickname is Bags. Look at all these bags.
And I left one in the car actually.
And what's on your back? Another bag.
That's my everyday bag.
So I just finished the last meeting of the day. Alana asked me before when I was gonna be out, which means she might be making me dinner, which is huge. Let's take a look. What's for dinner? Wow. What did you make? Looks healthy.
It was just leftovers that we had yesterday. But I guess we didn't do it yesterday. Chickpea pasta and shrimp and tomatoes and whatever else I could find in the fridge.
That's cool. I'm exhausted, my brain is mush, but I had just another incredible meeting, and I think the takeaway from today is that I love my clients. Like, as weird as that sounds, I'm actually kind of in my feels right now. Like, these people are so great to connect with. They open themselves up to me. We have great, genuine talks about things. We talk about life, we talk about business, we talk about money and our values and all this kind of stuff. It's such a privilege to do this. Like, this is unbelievable. This is so fun. And I kind of forget this every year. I kind of build up all this stress about annual review season. I have to meet all these people and make sure they're okay and make sure they see the value. And what I find every year is that these people are just beauties. They are unreal. And oh, I didn't tell you guys yet about the story of what happened in the diner. I'm talking to this old senior client, and you know, the reason he tears up is because I show him, hey man, like, if we keep doing what we're doing here, it's very likely that we run out of money before the age that you want. How are we going to think about this? And he comes back with, well, my living expenses are going up by $1,000 a month, so I was coming into this meeting thinking we were going the other direction. That's not great. We work our way through it. We think about the different ways we can optimize, and ultimately we decide, okay, for now we're going to accept this risk and see if we can find ways to course correct, and that's going to be an ongoing issue. But he's from an area of like our province where a lot of people emigrated to, and there's communities where everybody kind of knows everybody. And it turns out that he knows my whole genealogy and my family lineage back to like Russia and the Soviet Union and Germany, all that kind of stuff. He starts to illuminate me on traits that I have and how he sees those traits of like my ancestors in me, and how like my ancestors were too hard on themselves and they tried much too hard to be successful in life, and they were always too particular. And he started telling me all these things that I struggle with personally through like my genealogy. This is pretty nuts how he knows all this stuff. But eventually he essentially blessed me and said I come from a great line of people. And like, this isn't what I was expecting going into this meeting. So I like kind of start tearing up. He's addressing all of these things that I struggle with, and he doesn't really know that much about me, but he knows about my family and our past and how we emigrated. It's like, what the heck is going on? Anyways, guys, heck of a day. It's been a really long video, so it's now 7 o'clock, but for the rest of the evening, it's just boring work. I'm likely going to compile all of the to-do lists that we came up with today, integrate them onto the spreadsheets to see what else is left, and then prepare a little bit for tomorrow, which is another day. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. All the comments, all the engagement, I love it so much. I owe you guys massive gratitude. And again, if you enjoyed this video, want to see more like this, Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment down below, and if you want to, turn on post notifications for more videos just like this one every single week. Until next time.